What's going on, everybody? This is UTXJG the Don from GI Updates with Game Illuminaughty, and welcome to 2019. Man, oh man, this is going to be a great year for us, but let's get into something that happened at the end of last year that people are still talking about today. For some reason, this little movie on Netflix called Bird Box has everybody tripping. I didn't even know about the movie until people started talking about it on Twitter. Everybody kept saying hashtag Bird Box, hashtag Bird Box. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? It
trended #1.
Yeah, it trended. It trended. So I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was a movie. I didn't know what they were talking about. I thought it was like a show or something, or like a weird video game or something. So I ended up taking a look, and I was like, oh, this is a movie on Netflix. I'm like, okay, bet. So what is it about? Because people were just making constant jokes about it. Like it really went viral. And I think the thing that really made me upset, because I wasn't tripping off of the people like having a good time with it and halfway spoiling it when I first saw it, but the fact that people think that Sandra Bullock, like this is her first movie, or that she's the lady from Bird Box. I'm like, is this what we're doing? Y'all are so ignorant. Yeah, that's trash, yo. Because Sandra Bullock, she's been around for a long time, fam. Like, come on now, don't disrespect her like that. Out of all the people,
don't disrespect for a long time too.
Exactly, Sandra Bullock, she's been through a lot, so don't disrespect her. I ain't even mad at her for reacting and saying, you know, like, stop calling me the lady from Bird Box. That's not me. But in any case, she's obviously the star of Bird Box. So we'll just go ahead and go through the cast real quick. Not everybody, but we'll mention some people. So obviously Sandra Bullock is Mallory in the movie. You have Javante Rhodes. You may also know him from Moonlight. He's Tom. You have John Malkovich, which is Douglas. You also have Machine Gun Kelly. I was like, what? Machine Gun Kelly's in here as Felix. You got Lil Rel as Charlie. Those are the notable ones. And then you got Boy and Girl, which when I thought about Boy, you obviously think about God of War with that Julian Edwards and Vivian Lyra Blair is Girl. So and we have I never heard of her, but Daniel McDonald is Olympia, and I'll definitely get my thoughts about her a little bit later. But let's go over
the what's his name, the guy from Jurassic Park and Mr. Robot too. He was in it. The Asian dude. I forget his name. Oh, the one that had their house.
BD Wong, yeah, Greg.
There you go.
Greg, yeah. So where are my manners? I'm sorry before we got into that. Let's go over everybody who's in the video today. We have Ace of all trades. Say what up.
I've been forgotten. JG forgot to acknowledge myself and the rest of the people on the video.
Acknowledge yourself.
Acknowledge yourself.
Yeah, so that's a shame, but what up, everybody?
We have JoJo.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Siggy Guns.
What up?
And we have our Patreon guest, Sincon.
What's up?
She's probably going to end up being a permanent member of these movie reviews, because pretty much every movie that you watch, you want to review. But that's what's up. So send us back again, and there you go. So let's get into the quick premise of Bird Box. And again, I want to say, because apparently I did not mention that there were spoilers. So I'm going to say it because I don't like doing movie reviews without at least mentioning some spoilers. We're not going to talk about, obviously, everything that happened, but I do want to mention some spoilers. So again, a warning, there will be spoilers. I will say it once again, there will be spoilers, potential spoilers. So again, don't get mad at me. I will put it in the description as well for you Negroes that can't read. I don't know, you know, why that ends up happening, but it ends up happening still. It's 2019, do better, people. So anyways, the premise of Bird Box, if you've seen A Quiet Place, it is a similar format, only instead of making noise, you cannot look at whatever the entities are. So I didn't know what the premise was as far as like who was the actual threat or whatever, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the general premise is there was something going on in another part of the world. It has a lot of flashbacks and flash forward, so you kind of, you know, at the beginning you're like, what's going on? I don't know how they got to that place. So they end up explaining, you know, how Mallory ended up getting to that spot where they were at the point. But basically going back and forth, and to start it all off, there was an entity going on across the world, and nobody knew what was going on. But apparently the people, they didn't know if it was like an airborne virus or something, but it was something going on that was making people commit suicide. And again, nobody over here thought anything was going on. They were like, oh, it's not going to come over here, all of a sudden, randomly, it starts happening over here. And Mallory, she was in the hospital at the time because she was about to have a baby, and she ends up finding out that, oh man, like this lady is crazy. Why she out in the hallway, and then all of a sudden, like, all chaos just breaks loose. The police come, and everybody's like looking at stuff, killing themselves, crashing into everything. Mallory ends up getting to some shit. She almost dies but ends up surviving. Everybody's running, going insane. She ends up meeting with a whole bunch of people, and ultimately they're trying to figure out like what the entity is, how to defeat the entity, or how to not get tranced into killing yourself. And that's how we end up getting to like what happens at the end. But that's the basic premise of the movie. You have Sandra Bullock and a whole bunch of other random people. They're trying to figure out what's going on. They're trying to survive. So let me ask everybody, have you all seen A Quiet Place in this video?
Yeah.
Everybody has seen it. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you all. I want to ask you all because I know Sim was trying to question me, and I was arguing with Ethos about this. I did not like A Quiet Place when it got to the end. But who actually liked A Quiet Place? Did you think that A Quiet Place was good before we even get into what I think about Bird Box?
Man,
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
it was whatever to me. I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It was one of those things that was just, I watched it, cool.
I didn't even like
That's it,
need to
and
watch
move
it.
forward.
Like, yeah, my friends like invited me out, and they was like, "Yo, we trying to see The Quiet Place?" Like, whatever. But it's like, it was alright. I wouldn't like Ace said, I wouldn't see it again. But you know, it wasn't a bad movie. Not as bad as you say it is, Jay-Z.
Siggy, did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you didn't see A Quiet Place yet? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'll probably watch it though after this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you should definitely watch it. I like the concept of A Quiet Place when it came out, like, because when I was seeing the previews, I was like, oh man, like what's really going to happen? Like they can't make any noises, or you know something's going to come out and kill them or whatever. But again, when it got to the end, it just reminded me of like any other like alien/creature movie. It was just, you seen it, and then you know they tried to figure out like how to defeat it or whatever, and then it just went from there. But
See, I didn't see A Quiet Place, but it reminded me of The Happening, which is an older movie with Mark Wahlberg, where if you heard, or if the wind touched you from these plants or whatever, it made you commit suicide. So it kind of had that same vibe to it also.
Yeah, so it was definitely a lot like that too, and a lot of people didn't even like that happening. We were talking about that too a little bit off this video, but yeah, it definitely was more like The Happening, but it was the same like overall concept. I guess it's A Quiet Place. That was the most recent one, so that was what a lot of people were comparing it to. But anyways, as far as Bird Box is concerned, I have some concerns about this movie because I like the concept better than A Quiet Place. I just felt like with the one family in A Quiet Place, you didn't really see anybody else. But with this one, they had a whole cast that ended up, you know, coming together, and you know, some things ended up happening along the way. And I thought that part was more interesting. I also thought it was interesting how like they were literally trying to navigate without seeing, because I felt like that was way harder in my opinion than not being able to make a sound, but you could do everything else. You just can't talk, because they were just doing sign language. I felt like, you know, once you ended up getting that down pack, it was pretty easy. But for you to literally lose, you know, one of your senses, one of your most important senses, and you gotta navigate it like that, and you don't even know like what you're supposed to look out for, I thought that was more interesting. So Ace, we'll go ahead and start off with you. How did you feel about the overall concept of Bird Box? Did you like it or dislike it?
I think the overall concept was actually okay. It didn't really bother me that much. I thought it was very interesting to see. I don't think that the Bird Box movie itself was like so hyped up, but then again, we have to realize in the age of social media, it only takes a few people to truly be able to hype this up. I'm not saying that it was a bad movie. I think it was cool. I think it was like, oh, okay, I see what some people were talking about. And there was some cool moments in the movie itself when once they figured out everything, they said, okay, let's hop into the car and let's use the motion sensor around the car to be able to navigate through to the grocery store. I actually thought that was really smart when you really think about it. Now, there's some other questions I have for some of the people's actions that generally killed themselves, but you know, overall, it was cool.
Okay, Jojo, how'd you feel about it? You like it?
Uh, so I'm a big fan of sort of like mystery horror type stuff. So I like the concept of it. It's really interesting. Into like just having just some like monster or whatever. It's like you have that plus you lose a sense, so it makes it a lot harder than just like shooting it or whatever like that. So I thought the concept was really interesting.
Okay. What about you, Siggy?
No, I like the concept a lot. Same thing Jojo said about the kind of movie. I like the mystery kinds. Even when there is a monster, I do like whenever it kind of surprises at the end. The one thing like that was cool about the cars with the motion, but I also liked how Sandra Bullock's character as a whole, she went from scared, fidgety type, whatnot, to badass at the end. Like you could tell she would. It was kind of reminded me of Sarah Connor, how her character in the beginning of the Terminator franchise was scared, and then she became like militant. And same here with her. So she learned how to adapt to everything in the dark, how to pretty much be a beast. And I like that concept that in 5 years she was able to pretty much teach boy and girl how to survive. You know what I mean? In this kind of world.
Okay.
So I like that. I like that character development for sure.
Okay, and I hear a familiar controller going on. It sends direction. I know what you're playing.
What?
What?
Yikes.
I know what you doing.
Stop playing Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I
bro.
hear that, bro.
Yeah,
Stop
playing.
playing off the Switch real quick.
Yeah,
You're gonna wait.
you exposed today. Let's. You said you want to do this
caught.
video, so go ahead and give
Pay
your thoughts
attention.
on what you thought about Bird Box.
So like the whole thing with them having to go blind and stuff, I felt that was really cool, even though like they kind of make it a little too easy for them to survive, because it's like you literally can't see. I don't understand. Like my main thing is just like during the whole like forest scene when they're trying to get to the sanctuary or whatever. Yeah, the sanctuary. I feel like they make it way too easy for her to like her and the boy and girl to walk blind. It's just like you're blind, bro. It shouldn't be that easy to traverse a forest. So it was just like I don't like how easy they make it. Like I just don't like how easy it is for them to like traverse like the world blind. But besides that, like the monsters killing you, or they're not killing you, but they make you kill yourself whenever you see them. That's pretty cool. I think that's original. I haven't. If there is a movie like that, then I guess. But it's like that's the first movie I've ever seen with like an enemy like that.
I thought one of the best parts about that concept though was that the crazy people were able to see.
That's wild. Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah.
But it makes sense though, because pretty much what was it that the people that had any type of have faced their fears before, had any type of mental illness, pretty much was able to go around the earth while this event was going on, even though they were trying to kill everybody, of course. But my question is, and maybe you guys can answer this too, was the one moment when they let that guy in and he was fine, even though he was, he had gone through mental issues. He was fine. But
that's the biggest plot hole for sure.
But
because
then
birds didn't even capture.
Yeah, exactly. But then all of a sudden, when he started doing the drawings and everything like that, and the monsters that he had already seen, then that's all of a sudden when his eyes changed, and then he went through that transformation. Now, do you think that maybe he was being controlled by these unforeseen monsters, or what?
See, that's also getting into the reason why I don't like this movie. Because they didn't explain that.
That was the biggest plot hole. And the only thing I could think of is because we know that mentally insane people, and he did say he came from that area. He didn't say he was one of the patients, but we assume
he said he was over there in the asylum.
Exactly. We assume he was in the end. I think maybe he was bipolar, and he had his good side, hidden from people. But since he is still crazy, then maybe his bipolar kicked in, and he was waiting for the babies to be born to kill them. You know what I mean, or to get them to see. That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe that's the only thing that I was like. Maybe it lets you know that if you have multiple personalities, a disorder, whatnot, then maybe you can fool, people in the birds. Because that was the one thing that we didn't explain. The bird box. The reason why the movie's called Bird Box is because she found these birds, and the birds make noises whenever they pretty much detect the crazy
around.
people.
Yeah,
exactly.
The entities, yeah. So it didn't give her a warning though about this guy, so she assumed everything was fine with him. So that was
actually I thought the birds are only for the actual entity themselves, not for crazy people.
It wasn't for the crazy people, but
how come it did the fish? What's his name? The guy that in the grocery store. They were crazy for him.
You right.
Oh no, there was the monster right outside with the crazy guy. So he was trying to get them to see the monster, but
that was also in the thing with him.
He repeated.
That's why the other guy died.
Yeah, Rel, the little Rel,
Charlie,
his character died. Charlie, he went in there. He got killed by but pretty much he sacrificed himself. He sacrificed himself to his colleague that worked for the grocery store. But then afterwards, you notice how after Charlie had killed himself, the guy, his coworker, just said the same line over. Please help me.
Let me out. Yeah, he just went back to, even though
that's because he was crazy.
Because he was being controlled.
Yeah, he was being controlled. Yeah. The entity is somewhat intelligent and it can lure people into.
It can manipulate.
We gonna talk about that.
But then if that's the case, then how come if the entity was manipulating this guy particularly, then how is it that the birds didn't detect him at that point? Then still, that question would still be there.
So it's flawed. It's still flawed.
Yeah, it's flawed.
It's still flawed. Exactly.
I do see what Siggy's saying, because it is certain points where you like, well, yeah, the birds didn't react, and then the other time it did. So yeah.
Even when he was putting him in the freezer,
they still didn't do anything. They did jack swat.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the biggest plot hole. The only thing, like I said, the only thing I can think of is maybe bipolar, and that they tricked the birds. I don't know.
All right, let's talk about the people who deserve awards for how smart they were in the movie, and then we'll get on the dumbasses, because we definitely got to talk to them, talk about them. So I would say Tom. I mean, I think Tom, he was just a survivor at the end of the day. I mean, he's been through it. And he had a little thing for Mallory, and you find out, 5 years later, they end up, getting together or whatever. So Tom was good. But I will talk about Douglas a little bit. Now, Douglas, when you first saw him, he was a typical asshole. Greg, who was a person who owned the house that they were in for a long time, he said he tried to sue them because they were trying to build something else on their house, and he didn't like it because he had to look at it. Like, it was just that simple. I'm like, bruh, I'm like, you a savage. But Douglas ended up being one of the smartest people, because, I mean, he didn't want to let anybody in, rightfully so. And because like the last dude who ended up coming in, who messed everything up, the crazy dude, once he got let in, then everything started going downhill, and he was like, yeah, I told y'all, like, y'all shouldn't have done anything. Y'all shouldn't have let him in. Like, he needed to go. So again, he was smart from that part. I also think, even though I think that everything would have turned, I don't know how everything would have went, but if they would have stayed at the grocery store, like he said, then maybe that stuff wouldn't happen either, with them letting the crazy guy in. So I really like Douglas as a character as well.
That runs every issue.
Maybe, but maybe not. I don't know.
Nah, bro, it's a grocery store. People are gonna want to be like, oh, where am I gonna go get food? Why not the grocery store?
I understand that, but they still went to the random house too, though. So
I'm pretty sure that Machine Gun Kelly, that character and the chick, I'm pretty sure they went to the grocery store, and that's probably what
people were saying that. Siggy. So I did hear that before. That
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. They part of the dumb crew. They definitely part of the dumb crew. But I like Douglas as a character. I mean, that was pretty much it. Like, everybody else was just kind of there. So I mean, boy and girl
was too. You gotta put him into the discussion.
Oh, of course, Charlie was smart too. Charlie was smart with his theories or whatever, because nobody was listening to him either, and he ended up being right about that stuff too. So those,
and in the end, that might, everybody was wondering what it could be, and maybe it's something that he said. In the end, that really was what it was.
Also a theory that could be true. So So I think that he was definitely onto something with his book and his theories about everything. But he was just a crazy guy. He's a crazy black guy, and nobody wanted to listen to him, and he ended up sacrificing his life. So shout out to Lil Rel. He died in this one, but you still survived and get out. So shout out to you. You was a hero. you was definitely the hero. So let's get on the dumbasses. Dumbass number 1, Olympia. Everybody has made jokes about her.
Bro, she had to go off rip. Oh my God, bro.
Nah, bro. She got what, like 6 people killed?
Because she let that guy in.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't put that on her. Because Douglas told everybody out. So if anything, I'm gonna blame the old lady
She let him in.
But
the old lady that hit him over the head.
But what you don't realize, bro, that nigga Douglas was never wrong. He was right every single time.
That's what I'm trying to say, though. Is like, even though she let him in, Douglas pretty much put his foot in the ground, said, no, either you all go with him out, but we're letting this guy out right now, and I don't care what y'all say. So it's still, in the end, even though she let him in, they could have easily just went with it. Okay, fine, get out. And they didn't. They let the old lady hit him in the head, and they all just pretty much locked him in the garage and said, no, we're going to keep him. And that was the wrong choice. It was all of them at that point. That was all their fault.
That garage on that nigga, it was a wrap, bro. I said, oh my God, that was savage as hell.
But Olympia, I mean, she's had a conversation with Mallory. She was like, I'm soft and you're not. And she had like this fairy tale. She was one of those chicks that never had to do anything in her life. So like, if it wasn't her parents that took care of her, it was her, her husband that took care of her. Yeah. So, and she said that, and she was right. She was soft as hell, and she was like, I remember what you did for me. You didn't have to let me in, so I let this crazy dude in. Like, she was just so willing to do that, and she was not thinking. So yeah, it was her fault. I do agree with Siggy. That was kind of the old lady's fault too, but. Ultimately, I do agree in that specific part, it was everybody's fault, because the one thing that everybody ignored, and I don't know how many of y'all caught this, they were asking what was in the bag, and they were arguing the whole time, right? And they never asked what was in the damn bag. I was so fucking upset at that part, man. I'm like, come on, find out what's in the bag, because if you did, everybody would agree with Douglas. Everybody would have kicked that man out.
I don't know though. Let's. If the paintings were the monster and we saw Greg pretty much become crazy by him saying, well, we couldn't, it's not really a live feed, it's just, heat sensors, etc. They probably would have got crazy if they looked at the pictures.
No, because Tom saw it when he was walking by, whatever, like, what are you doing? And
but he wasn't paying attention to it though. He wasn't looking at it.
It was in the vicinity though.
He just laid them out. He just laid all the pictures out. But yeah, he wasn't in the vicinity, so I don't know. I don't know if the pictures had any significance on going crazy. I just know it most likely would have had a significance on everybody be like, what the hell is this? Like, no, you crazy, get up out of here. That's what I think. Yeah. They didn't find out what was in the bag, and I just thought that part was just ridiculous. Out of all their arguing, they never even took the chance to look at the bag when they kept asking. She asked multiple times what was in the bag. Like, so I don't know. I really don't know what happened on that part. So again, Olympia was a dumbass. Felix, he just wanted some pussy, and this was Machine Gun Kelly's character. So
idiot.
So he just liked what was her name, Lucy. Yeah, so he was to mess with Lucy. They was fucking, and they ended up ultimately, after they came back from the grocery store, they stole the whip and dipped out to most likely back to the grocery store, because Lucy was really like into that whole concept that Douglas was saying about saying at the grocery store. And I think that at the end of the day, both of them didn't care about, the other people that was still at the house.
One thing I didn't understand, like Douglas said, like, oh, let's hunker down here. Why didn't they just go back and get everybody and then move into the grocery store?
Well, because they probably thought what I thought, that it would have been safe for them to stay at the grocery store because they would attract more people.
I think it was just too many trips. I think it was just too many trips that they didn't want to take, because there was already a risk going to the grocery store, and they weren't even going to do that until Charlie was like, oh yeah, like, I got a grocery store that I work at and I locked it up. They were like, okay, bet, we're going to make this risk.
And on top of that, they didn't have the space. How are they going to add their?
They can't bring everybody else. Yeah, you're right, because they don't have two
Olympia
cars.
alone was going to be 2 seats.
Oh.
No, he did it. No, he did it.
Dog, move on.
Siggy, oh my God, Savage 2019, let's go. I thought you was PC, boy. You ain't PC today.
Damn, that's right.
I'm just saying. I mean, there was no space in the car.
Yeah, I mean, you're right though. You're right. So, and then, I mean, Greg was trying to be a hero, but at the end of the day, again, he should have listened to Douglas. He wanted to, see if he could see what the enemy is, what the entity is. And ultimately, even through the feeds, the entity got to him. And I found that part interesting too, because I'm like, well, this entity has like multiple levels to it. You don't have to look directly at it. You could just see it on the feed. You could see it on like any video, whether it's the past or the present. And it can still get you.
Why didn't they try like infrared?
But that's what it was. He specifically said it was infrared, and it still got him. He said it wasn't going to be a live feed with the actual.
Yeah, it wasn't a
video.
live feed.
That he was going to look at it through a feed with the infrared, and it was going to be heat signatures, and it still wound up getting him in the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I found that to be crazy too.
Another thing.
Wait. You put him in the dumbass category?
I just explained it. I was like, he could be a dumbass because he didn't listen to Douglas. I said that was the only thing, but I say he could have been the hero. He tried to be the hero in that particular.
He saved everybody. I would put him in the smart
category. I wouldn't say he saved everybody.
Well, he ain't saved.
He ain't saved nobody. He just killed himself.
Didn't get anyone killed.
Yeah.
Well, I guess when I say he saved everybody, I guess in a sense he saved more people, gave them the knowledge, knowing that it doesn't matter if you see them in person or if you just see them via a video feed. Now they know the dangers of these hidden beasts.
And that's why I said he tried to be the hero.
Well, I mean, save is kind of a stretch. I'd say
I don't
he
think so.
gave more information.
I'm glad he gave me the information because that was me.
That seems
That's not saving. Saving's
though.
more like taking a bullet for somebody. Like that's
Charlie
more
I mean, essentially, he
like,
did take the bullet for people because he proved what he wanted to see. If they can see it or not and be okay. I don't know.
Well, another thing, man's died. Why didn't somebody stay in there with him? They don't have to look at the screen, but once they see he starts tripping out, just like smack the screen and then.
Well, it's too late. Once he starts tripping out, it's a wrap. You're done.
Because I felt like he did that kind of quick. He did that quicker than they thought. I mean, I see what you're saying, Sin, but I mean, it was a small possibility. I think it was a small window. You would literally have to be right up on them just to make sure, and then probably by that point, he probably would try to kill you too.
All right.
I don't know, because you never know how he reacted. Again, nobody knew what was going on. So I get that he was trying to figure it out, but I think that it was still a slim possibility that you would be able to save him. And nobody
did show what happened is in regards to what they did with the body. Right? I'm pretty sure that had a stink for it all that time.
No, yeah, they definitely had that in upstairs. That room was probably off limits. The body probably deteriorated up there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Damn, but
I don't know
5 years worth, man. I mean, damn.
Yeah, that is. I don't have no idea what.
And then they had the babies upstairs right there.
They did too. So that was crazy. So one thing I didn't mention, not only was Mallory pregnant, but Olympia was also pregnant. So once the crazy dude ended up getting in the house and he ended up messing everything up, basically killing damn near everybody. He wanted to, like Siggy said, he wanted to get the babies because Mallory and Olympia both ended up pregnant at the same time and having the babies around the same time. So he wanted everybody to see, the crazy dude wanted everybody to see, and he also wanted the babies, which Olympia, he ended up getting Olympia first, ended up making her kill herself, and then went after Mallory because Mallory ended up having both the babies. She ended up somehow, some way, ended up getting Olympia to get rid of her baby and give it to Mallory. So I don't know what significance that had with him just wanting the babies, besides maybe the obvious. He just wanted them to start off young, maybe manipulate them somehow to, because I mean, a baby, I don't know how. I mean, I guess you could still, find a way to kill yourself as a baby, but I think
I couldn't imagine though that it would have worked. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think
they were newborn. They wouldn't have been able to see.
They wouldn't even be able to see anyways.
He would have to do the deed himself.
So I don't know how that would have played out if he would have, gotten a hold of the baby.
That was a plot hole too, kind of, because you don't know what his intentions really were in the end.
Right.
Because why did he want the babies?
Right.
He wanted to kill them, bro. I think it's safe to assume that.
Man, so that part was ended up being crazy. And like I mentioned before, all of those events with everybody that happened 5 years in the past. The first scene that you see though was in the present, and it was Mallory with boy and girl, and she was telling them that we gotta go. We're trying to go to the sanctuary, which they didn't mention until like the middle part was where they actually going, but they ended up getting in the boat and ended up flowing down the river to try to get to this sanctuary. And she was basically just, telling them like what to do, which the lame term, which is don't take off your fucking blindfold. Like that's all it was. Don't take off your blindfold and just listen to me. Like anything I say, like don't try to save me. Don't do nothing. Like just make sure you keep your blindfold on and hold on to the birds. So that was, again, we mentioned that plot hole. We don't know like exactly how the birds operated. We know that obviously they sensed it, but that was another thing that they didn't really explain in detail, which they really didn't explain it at all. We just kind of had to, infer ourselves as to like what the actual birds have in common with the entity. But let's get into the other plot hole that, again, I didn't like about this movie. First, besides the pictures that the crazy dude shown, we never ever see the entity. The entity was only shadows that either moved across the window or under a door, or you could kind of see it coming towards you with a whole bunch of wind, like with leaves swirling or whatever. So you never saw it, unlike A Quiet Place, which you did actually see the creature or the alien or whatever. And in other movies, you saw him as well. So we'll start off with you, Sin. How did you feel about not seeing the entity ever and really not knowing like what it does, why it makes some people kill themselves, and why it makes some people just crazy, and they're kind of like, I wouldn't say immune to it, but they kind of like do the entity's bidding, I guess you could say. So how'd you feel about that whole concept of the entity?
I think it's pretty cool, just not showing them outright, just like keeping them a mystery to even the audience, you know, because I'm pretty sure you're seeing the story and stuff from what's her name, Sandra's perspective, yeah. Mallory's perspective. So it's like, if she can't see it, then the audience shouldn't be able to see it either. It's just a complete mystery. It's like, just keep the whole entity, the thing killing people, a mystery. And yeah, and them being able to brainwash people. I think it's pretty broken, because, you know, if that wasn't a thing, like if they weren't brainwashing people, there'd really be no struggle at all. Like let's say they couldn't brainwash people, Tom wouldn't die, nothing really would happen at all, really. It would just be them surviving like any other movie. So them being able to brainwash people is actually pretty good, and I applaud them for having that like as a thing for the entity.
Okay. Interesting concept there. Not mad at it. What about you, Siggy? How'd you feel about the whole entity?
I was kind of confused in regards to, is it a whole bunch of entities? Is it personal? You know, is it like spirits? Because it couldn't just be one, because if it's just one, then why would it only go after the Sandra Bullock, them in the middle of the forest, and not somebody that's alive in, you know, New York right now or something? You know what I mean?
Right.
And if it was widespread, like they were saying, then obviously it has to be a whole bunch of things going on. It has to be like a bunch of things happening. And the reason why I say spirits or something like that in that regard is because it seemed like it was personal. So whenever the sister in the beginning got killed, she said she saw like what the fuck, like it was something to do, I'm assuming, a parent or something. The lady saw her mom.
Right.
She was hearing Tom. Right. You know, whenever they were in the woods. So it's like something personal. I don't know if it was supposed to be like angels of death, maybe that kind of perspective, I guess. I don't know. It was it's weird that they didn't show anything at all, you know, but maybe they're doing that on purpose so they can explore a prequel or a sequel. But I don't know. I mean, I do agree with Sen that I do like that they kind of kept the mystery. I just kind of wish that there was like some kind of hint that in the end, like what it was, why it's happening. Because it was kind of strange also that it would happen in Russia and stuff like that to start off, and then come here eventually. So what could have caused that delay?
I think they were just talking. Like just saying, just to show that it was happening in other places. I don't think it was a direct correlation or reason why it just was happening there and then just started happening in the States. I think
because at first I thought it had something to do with cell signals, because the people that got affected right away, it seemed, were the people that were talking on the phone. The sister was on the phone. That lady that killed herself in the window, was on the phone at the same time. So I thought maybe it had something to do with signals at that time, but that wound up being out the window later on.
Yeah, so I don't know. What about you, Jojo? How do you feel about the entity?
I felt it was pretty good. The whole point about like not seeing it is because if you see it, you go crazy. So
what do you think? What do you think?
So we're going crazy when
we saw it. Yeah, we saw it. Did we go crazy?
I mean, I don't know, but like so.
I think George was saying the people that are doing the challenge right now, the Bird Box challenge, saw it.
What? No, but I thought it's a different sort of like entity, because it sort of messes with your psyche depending on who you are, So the way I took it was that it would just basically like mess with your psyche. So if there's one around you, you like hear some voice of someone that you know or love very much, yada yada yada. that's my perspective of it. And there are definitely multiples of them. You can see in the house, when old dude was ripping out all of the windows and stuff. You can see multiple
shadows.
Yeah, so you can tell that they're definitely more than one. And also, when they were navigating through, when they had to stop because they almost like hit something in front of them, the sensors went off in like all directions. So that's also another indication that there's more than just one entity around.
What was the noise that they were making towards the girl whenever she put her hand out on the flower petals and all that were around her? What was it? Was it whispering? What was it?
I thought it was just whispering. I didn't
yeah, it was
just
whispering.
specific. Yeah,
it wasn't Olympia though, was there anything like that?
I would have to look at that part again because I'm not sure.
I think
at
one point she would mention. I know like Tom would mention her sister. Basically, anyone that she really cared about would be mentioned.
That's what I was wondering about her. Like, what did she hear? I know at one point she heard Mallory's voice, right? Yeah, when her,
she heard Mallory's
like
Mallory,
Tom's
voice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the reason why she was. Yeah, she was hearing her because it was for a reason, though, for a specific reason, I believe.
Yeah. But that's kind of crazy though that entity could even do people that are still alive. So obviously it goes to whoever is closest to you or something at that point. I'm imagining.
Well, if we're talking about the girl, reason why she heard Mallory's voice is because she feared Mallory, and this has something to do with the association of fear. That's why Mallory had to break down and tell her.
No, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's fear because
no, that's what it was.
Why would the woman?
I won't say
that's not true.
Because the boy said that to Mallory.
No. She was saying that's why she didn't want to go close to her now. But I'm pretty sure at that moment when she was alone and she was hearing Mallory's voice, that had to be the person closest to her because that's the only person she knew aside from Tom for 5 years of her life.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say necessarily fear, but basically, this entity doesn't like know. I don't believe that the entity like knows like everyone that you're close to, but I believe that it messes with your like psyche. So you like hear voices from people that you know or care about, or whatever.
Yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah, so again, the reason why we're even talking about this, because again, we don't know. The movie didn't explain it, so we kind of got to go off of what we think ourselves. But
theories. So that's pretty much any theory could be right.
It could definitely. So Ace, I know you were kind of giving thoughts in between, but how'd you feel about the whole entity concept?
I mean, it didn't really necessarily bother me that you couldn't see it. I think the lack of seeing the entity, regardless that you had the pictures or not, pretty much gave the viewer, us, the ability to be able to envision what we thought it might be. And I think that's the way they wanted it to be. Now, I can't necessarily say because I didn't read the book that it's based off of, but I do believe that they wanted your imagination. They wanted you to see what you thought, maybe in your back of your head, what you thought this entity could look like. So I'm not mad at it at all.
Okay. I'm not mad at that answer, and I think that also comes into play with the crazy guy in his drawings, because it's like I don't know if even he actually saw like the entity in a physical form. I just think that like he just went so crazy that he was just drawing what he thinks the entity looks like. So I don't know for sure if that's true or if I'm crazy about that one, but I think it's either he saw it and was just drawing a whole bunch of things, or that was just another part that like, oh, the entity could look like this or it could look like that, just for us to just kind of again like think, oh, well, maybe the entity does look like that, or maybe it does look like that, or maybe it is multiple entities. Maybe all the entities do have different forms that he did end up seeing. So again, like it's interesting, but at the same time, I'm also upset like that they really didn't explain anything toward the end.
Yeah, that plot hole with him is what makes it frustrating in the end, if you think about it, because it all leads back to him, the crazy guy. Why, if he was crazy, then should he have seen the entity like the way it should be? And then if he is crazy, then why did he get affected in the end? Why did his eyes go? I mean, that's what makes the plot hole so frustrating. Is that why is it that he has normal eyes at one point and then crazy eyes, but yet he's not killing himself at any point? And you would think that in one of those eyes he should have been trying to kill himself if he was normal, or if he was crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah, it was
So many
like
questions, bro.
was he really crazy before he got in, or did something happen when he got in there?
He was
we don't
definitely
know.
crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think he was crazy, but you never know.
That's what makes it so. That's what makes it so dumb though. Is that you would think that at one point, if he had clarity, if he did see it and stuff like that, then that means that his eyes should have always been like that. You know what I mean?
Right. So something must have triggered him, and again, we can only theorize as to what did it.
Yeah.
It's still crazy though, because even though like he's labeled the crazy guy, he still was pretty calm about it. He was just like, "Oh, you should see," and then like he sat next to Mallory, was like, "Give me the babies before I hurt you," but he was still calm about that.
Before I take them.
Yeah, before I take them, and
that's the thing too. At the end though, at the very end, they went in when they took the blindfolds off of Sandra and all that, and they checked her eyes. Oh, she's good.
Yeah.
But if it was that guy, he could have been.
Yeah,
he would have
fucked him up.
That whole place would have been dead. You know what I mean? So that's the part also that frustrates you. Like, well, why is it that you made this guy have normal eyes then?
Yeah, and even
like,
even the people who was in the car when Tom was by himself when he went on a run. But once he ended up just telling Sandra and everybody else that they could leave,
yeah,
like exactly. They were calm too. Like they were just like some bandits who just rolled up like it was nothing. Like you couldn't tell that they were crazy. The only way that you could tell directly was because they didn't have on blindfold. They were just walking around like normal. They were just looking for people and they were looking for supplies, and that was it. So again, I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? They again at the end of the day was like, like you should open your eyes before we hurt you, and take off your blindfold. But they were still as calm as can be. Even the dude who was in the water with Sandra and Girl and Boy, like he was kind of calm. Like he, even though towards the end you knew he was crazy because he was saying some dumb stuff, talking about deers and stuff. It was just the way that he said it, but like he was still.
The birds went crazy for him too.
Yeah,
though.
they did go crazy, and that's how she knew. And again, like it's not consistent in my opinion with some of the things that happen. Like the birds go crazy sometimes, other times they don't. I don't know, but again, like the dude, he was telling, saying that they should take off their blindfold, that they should see what's going on because it's beautiful, but he was still saying it in a calm manner until he rolled up on her. So again, I don't know, but at the end of the day, the only thing that we really got out of this movie is being blind already when you were born is going to help you survive because you can't see nothing anyways. You can't see nothing anyways.
It was wild, but also I was watching a video about it discussing the whole fact that everybody was blind. It also spoke about how what people were not everybody in that sanctuary was born blind. Some people
they gouged their eyes out.
Exactly, gouged their eyes out, gave themselves a sedative that made them blind. All of that, so they had to make that decision, and that's bruh.
Hey, I mean, do what you gotta do to survive. I mean, if you are not supposed to see anyways, if you were risking actually getting, committing suicide or becoming crazy because of just looking, then why not, right? The only way you gonna survive anyway.
And I think that's the reason. I think that's the reason why they specifically did the Greg scene was because that would have been the first thing I would have done too. Is just get some night vision goggles or something like that and call it a day. You know what I mean? That way I can still see at night and use heat signatures all day long. Yeah, exactly. But because they specifically made it to where that camera only did heat signature, whatever it was, how he just explained it, then that killed that whole theory, or that killed that whole tactic to survive. Because that's what I would have done. My survival thinking would have been, well, just put, goggles or something that, distorts reality, but you know what it is, like night vision goggles, and that's it. Call it a day. But that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Is anyone expecting a part 2 of this?
I think a prequel makes more sense.
I would watch a more book accurate version.
How many books is it? Only one book of Bird Box, or does anyone know?
I'm not sure offhand. I would have to look it up.
Because the book version is a lot darker, so
it's always like that, right?
That. I didn't even know there was a book version.
Yeah. That's what I saw at first. Yeah. So I think it's only one. Yeah.
So what did the book say in regards to the entity and all that?
That I don't know. I was asking people on Twitter, but nobody answered me. I was like,
the only thing I know about
I don't think so.
The only thing I know about is that the sanctuary is a lot worse than you think. People gouge. I think they tried to gouge their eyes out as well. So it was like they tried to force their eyes out. Like the people in the sanctuary, they tried to
use their own fingers.
So they think it's more like a zombie apocalypse in the book, where if you do see it, you can spread it to others, and that's why they want you to go to get your eyes out right away.
I think so, something like that. But yeah, it's a lot worse in the book. So I would watch a more
darker.
Yeah, I would watch a more book accurate version with like a lot darker stuff, and like they don't win in the end type shit, you know.
Okay. Jojo, would you like to see a prequel or a sequel of this?
Well, a prequel would just be the daily life of all the people.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, do we really want to see that? I don't know.
No. It wouldn't be Sandra Bullock and all that. When I say prequel, I'm thinking more of how like the first cases of it. And
like,
things like that, how Russia dealt with it or whatever.
Like overseas, what happened over there.
So I mean, like from
like another perspective.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I mean, if it ends,
I feel more for that. Yeah.
You know what that would kind of remind me of though? Like 28 days later and 28 weeks later.
Well, it would be just like the ones that Netflix is doing now too, with the what's his face, Cloverfield. You know how they're kind of bouncing around because they really don't really have a true sequel, and they really have a true prequel.
Oh, that movie! Oh my god! Because now we're like getting into multiverse theories with that one. I remember we did that review, so I don't. I don't know.
It was around this time last year, right?
Yeah, it was around this time. Yeah, everybody got crazy about that. It definitely was during the Super Bowl. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely want to see something else. We need some form of a continuation, or I wouldn't even be mad at this point if they did do a prequel. I just need an explanation. That's all that I would want. I'm not even really upset that I didn't see the entity. At first I was, but now after thinking about it and talking to y'all, like I can do without it. I just need these plot holes that we were talking about to be filled. I just need like some form of detail, because I think like I'm not really so upset that they didn't explain like, you know, like what they're looking at and why it causes you to commit suicide. I think I'm just more upset that, you know, there are some people who are quote unquote immune to it and end up doing their bidding. They're like, oh well, you know, I'm cool. You should see what I see. And then like what happens after that? Like, because do they end up becoming crazy as well, or do they commit suicide? What determines who becomes crazy and what determines who commits suicide, besides obviously like quote unquote being a bad person? Because we don't know if all these people were bad people or not.
How about that prequel with that guy that they wound up letting in? You know, have the story based around him and what he went through.
Maybe
that'd be lame. I wouldn't want to see that.
To see how he survived and how he was, if he was crazy or whatnot. I don't know. I think his story would have been interesting.
What'd you say, Sin?
How were you inducted into the how he was inducted into the entity army or
okay. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that perspective. I think that if there's any perspective that I would like to see, we need to see that side. So that's what I would ask for. Yeah, the crazy part. How do you become crazy? How do you end up doing the entity's bidding? That's all I need to see. Like, if I could see that part, if they could find a way to properly explain it, then I think that'll be a dope follow-up. So that's just my opinion on it. But I think it's the one thing that I just really didn't like about it was just that fact, because that plot hole just made me upset. I'm like, come on now, like right at the end, like you just nothing. It was just all right. Everything's all hunky dory at the end. All right, cool.
Yeah, because what would a sequel be? Also, them fighting the entities. I mean, like, how would they mobilize? How do you turn around?
Yeah, you can't.
Like, what do you do? Like, who you contacting?
How you gonna be a blind army? I mean, like, what do you? I don't.
Like, everybody's just gonna meet up at the sanctuary eventually. Like, everybody, the whole world. I mean, like, that's the part that's the reason why I'm not sure about a sequel either. Is that it's like, well, what would a sequel really be? Just them 10 years later, how they survived all this time?
Is it just gonna boring, you know what I mean? Is it gonna shroud into darkness and then like I don't know, no light at all? Like you're gonna cover up the sun? Like I don't know.
Exactly.
Cover up the sun.
You make a whole bunch of. I mean, yeah, it'll be strange. But even at nighttime, though, even in the dark, you can get affected. So it's.
Yeah. What if they trap the entities or something? They wait till like the leaves come up. Then they drop like a whole like box on them niggas. And they can't move.
But we don't know if it's a physical being, because again, we didn't see it. So they kind of, I mean, it's still like, I don't feel like that'll work either. It's so many. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is why like I was upset about it. I was like, man, such a good concept. I was into it. Everybody was, you know, kind of working, trying to figure out what's going on. People died, of course, but like once it got to the end, I was just like, man, Like, damn, like it could have been so good, and then it just got to that part. So I don't know. Maybe since nobody knows.
So let's ask this question then. How would you end the movie?
Shit.
You put me on the spot. I don't know. I don't know, cause I feel like, again, like with the entity showing itself, maybe, I don't know, maybe it could have ended how A Quiet Place ended, but I kind of still even want to see a follow up to that, because it was like once you figured out how to defeat it, then that's when that movie ended. So I kind of just wanted to see that, like if there was any way that they could figure out how to defeat it, besides obviously not looking at it and not letting it affect you. I just wanted to see that. So that's how I kind of would want this one to end. If they're gonna go that route, that same route, you need to at least figure out what the weakness is. Like why is it here? Why is it making some people kill themselves? Because they didn't explain that either. Why is it making some people kill themselves, and why is it making some people crazy? Yeah. We needed to see
one of them would have to be the key or something like that, right? So it had.
Yeah, is there like an Agent Zero or something? I don't know.
See, they should have made it to where the babies, because like remember they kept talking about how these are going to be like the only kids probably, that were born, after this whole thing, whatever. They made like a reference to something about that, and maybe that could have been like the weakness is that people being born like after it happened would have been like immune to it, and they would have been the one to fight it, and maybe that's the reason why he specifically was waiting for them to be born before he killed them. They could have done something like that, like, made it to where it referenced that, children born at the day that the end, the world was supposed to end and whatnot, would be the ones that are the biggest threat to the entity.
Or they're immune to it somehow before, exactly. While they're still born. Yeah, I mean, that would have been interesting too. I don't know. Any other ideas on how you would have wanted this movie to end?
One thing I thought was gonna happen was I thought Mallory would be able to look actually, and she was gonna be like immune to it type shit.
Like being the one, like
yeah,
Neo or something.
Yeah.
See, like I said, that would have been more sense if it was a kid. Like, imagine if they decided that she decided to let girl be the one to look for the river. And she wanted being immune.
Period. Like, you remember that part? Like when she held her hand out, like that kind of looked like some X-Men type shit. So
kind of looked like Neo right there when he stopped the bullets, right? Yeah, so baby. that would have been really good to lead into a sequel if she wanted being immune. Like, let's say she decided, look, I'm not gonna let my son be the one. I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you be the one that looks. And she wanted being like the perfect being or whatever that could see through it and not get crazy and all this stuff. That would have been cool. That would have been a way to at least make it to where it would have made sense that the kids are going to be the future of something.
One thing, in the book, I keep referencing the book, but in the book, Mallory actually looks.
Oh, does she? So she does have powers.
So she looked directly at the entity, or
I don't think she looks at the entities, but she does look during the rapids.
Oh, during the rapids. Oh, okay.
Yeah. She looks during the rapids.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's not bad. Because even in that part, like, they were in danger of the rapids, not from the entity. I mean, obviously that's why they were trying to not look as much as they could, but they had to look just to steer. So they still weren't really in danger. Like, nowhere in that particular portion were they in danger from the entity. It was literally just the rapids. So interesting. But any other theories, Ace, JoJo?
No, it's not for me.
Yeah, not really for me either. You guys pretty much covered all grounds for the most part.
Okay, all right. So this movie is shit. Let's move on. I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. All right. We're going to start off with JoJo. What would you rate Bird Box out of 10?
I hate rating out of.
Yeah, we said this last time. I forgot.
I rated an enjoyable experience.
Okay. All right. Okay, I give you that. But JoJo's the only one who could rate enjoyable experience or shit. Okay. Ace, what would you rate?
Yeah,
all right. What would you rate Bird Box out of 10, Ace?
I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
7. Okay. All right. Commendable score. Siggy.
8.5. I'm gonna dock a full point for the big plot hole, and then the other half is just not really having like a way to explain a sequel or a prequel kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, at least give me something. They didn't give me really anything.
So are you saying you would have rated this a 9.5 if it had no plot holes?
If it had no plot holes, yeah, it would have been. I mean, because I thought the movie was enjoyable. I mean, I didn't find it boring at any point. I thought it was it kept you engaged. Like that's what I look for in movies. You know what I mean? And like the cast was actually great. I mean, you have Oscar winners in that lineup. I mean,
that was that's a very good cast for Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix did a really good job in the casting and stuff like that. They got popular people and I mean, like I said, everything about the movie to me was really good. The only part that just kind of killed for me was that it was a big plot hole, and I just didn't like that it was a way that made you think 100 things about it, and you really can't tell if it's right or wrong because you don't know if he was crazy or not. If he is, then why wasn't he, already? That whole part just at the end, I just kept thinking about that. I was like, damn it.
True.
So yeah, that killed it for me.
Okay. San, what are we rating Bird Box out of 10?
I'm gonna give it a 7.2. 0.1 because of Tom, and 0.2 because of Sandra Bullock.
Okay. All right, we giving them points because of cast members. All right. I'm going to give Bird Box a 7.5. I would have given it another point if, again, they would have explained the plot holes, and if at least I would have seen a glimpse of the entity, which I thought they would have at least like teased like what it is and what it wants or whatever. I just need to see like what's going on because I just hate being left in suspense like this. I know that was most likely the point of having everyone watch it to make up your own theories while we're talking about it in this video here, but I need answers, man. It just sucks. We need to see some sort of continuation because I don't like being left in the dark like this. But I will say it was definitely very enjoyable and it was better than A Quiet Place. I don't care what Ito says. That movie was shit towards the end. I don't care.
Wow.
Bird Box was more lit, bruh. Bird Box was more lit than A Quiet Place, and I definitely want to see what Siki says about A Quiet Place. So please watch that next, bruh. Please watch it next.
I'll watch it next, yo.
I'm sorry, JoJo. It was just, man, that end ended up being like every other alien/creature movie, man. I'm sorry.
I mean, the end was very cheesy.
The
rest of the movie,
nah, bro. Once you really think about it, it was still crap. They didn't really do much, man. They didn't really do much in that movie. Once you really think about it.
Are you sure you want me to watch it now?
Yes, please. I need somebody on my side who think it's shit. Oh man. All right, well, that was our review on Bird Box. I just want to say shout out to the Bird Box lady. She's lit. I know that a lot of you people don't know who she is, so Sandra Bullock will forever be the Bird Box lady as long as you all are on this trend.
Sandra Bullock like that, bro.
It's ridiculous, dog. I hate that. I really hate that people thought that she was the Bird Box lady, but it's whatever, man. 2018, we got these youngins around here that don't know anything, so they ain't seen no good movies.
Man, she looks good still. She looks almost exactly the same since I remember her from Speed. I mean,
she really do. She was in a lot of, bro. She was in Demolition Man. Like she was in so many movies, yo.
Right?
So many movies.
She was born in 1964, y'all.
No,
let that sink in.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Shout out to Sandra Bullock.
That's
white don't crack.
64?
We got Sandra Bullock,
July 26, 1964,
and we got Julia Roberts still, being in the original series too. Like, everybody they like forget the silver screen. We can make this money from Netflix and on Amazon. So
Netflix is paying, man. Netflix is the way right now.
Will Smith did it, even though I didn't really like that movie either. Their Bright movie, but they're about to make a sequel, so y'all liked it.
Adam Sandler, they getting all the talent.
True,
all the ones that we grew up with us, we grew up with.
Got the comedians doing Netflix specials. Like, I think that it took a long time, but I think Netflix is finally like getting a lot more original series, other than, Orange is the New Black and the Marvel series, RP. And House of Cards. Yeah. Like I think they're doing a lot more now that's getting people engaged and like, oh, okay. Like I'm really using my subscription because, everybody's still, I think they were still trying to, make sure that people don't share their Netflix subscription because they were losing a lot of money from that. So I think they are, eventually getting a lot more people to get their own Netflix subscription. So
that was one thing that they mentioned, that somebody mentioned in one of their accounts, one of their Netflix accounts, was that 45 million accounts watched Bird Box.
That's wild.
Yeah,
man.
I saw that.
And if you just think about that raw number and how much it costs per month for Netflix, that is a legit box office hit right there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Those are the kind of numbers.
The power of social media, man.
I don't know how they equate that to money. That's the one thing that a lot of people as far as investors go with Netflix and stuff like that, still don't get like what exactly is considered successful for those kind of movies. But if they put that in the theaters, Bird Box, I would think that it would have made good money if they didn't, if it wasn't Netflix. So, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting number. That's a lot of people. That really is.
Definitely something to think about. Absolutely, absolutely. So again, that was our review on Bird Box. Don't do the Bird Box challenge because even Netflix said don't do it.
Well, what is that? What is the Bird Box challenge?
So I literally looked it up before then. It's just people like, it was a lot of comedy things. People were doing comedy skits, but it's people just being dumb. Like you have people like literally like walking outside with blindfolds on, like getting on escalators. But there's a lot of people in their houses though. Like I didn't see any harm in that, but Ace did remind me of a video of like a dude with his kids, and one kid ended up running into the wall while they were trying to run away in their house. So I guess they're just worried about people just damaging themselves and hurting themselves. So, but it's just the fact that this shit went viral. I really don't know like how. Like I don't know who was the first person. Like man, Bird Box was lit. I just know like it was like a swarm on my timeline. So I have no idea, but it made me watch it. So the power of social media, they did their job. They definitely did their job because I know that probably the first person who watched it didn't know who Sandra Bullock was. They were just like, oh, new movie on Netflix? Okay, let's watch it. And then they were like, oh man, this shit lit. Or they read the book before they end up watching it. They're like, oh, this is a movie now. So it is what it is. But shout out to social media, man, because Netflix definitely got a lot of money from that one. Definitely got a lot of money from that one.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock, of course.
Yeah, and getting Sandra Bullock on there, and Lil Rel, and I mean,
John Malkovich,
and freaking got
he's
random.
Typecast, by the way. Always an asshole, bro. Always.
he is
super tight.
He got random machine gun killing. I wonder how much you pay him for that.
Shout out to Cyrus the Virus. You know, if y'all remember that movie Con Air, I believe that was him as well.
Yeah, he's in there. He's in a lot of things.
Virus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's from Con Air. With Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
And he played the same fucking role, an asshole.
Hey, this how it be, yo. This how it be.
Yeah, he was in.
He's been in a lot, fam.
Yeah.
His filmography is ridiculous.
Rapids George, he was that too.
Wild. But yeah, anyways, I keep saying so. But that was our review. If you want to participate in more videos like this, like our almost resident movie reviewer Sin here, please consider pledging to our Patreon. We have a lot of rewards in line, like being on videos like this, being a part of the GI podcast, being a part of our Discord, which again, we play games every day. Everybody is in the community here, and they have made friends with each other, and they all game, and we game.
I don't like any of these niggas. Don't let them. Like
yeah, that's why Sin is leaving right now. You're not gonna be a part of any review. No, just playing. Sin is cool, but again, just consider pledging. Again, it helps keeps the light on for everybody, and helps us continue to grow. So with that being said, I am UTI JT the Don. This is the GI crew, Ace of All Trades, JoJo, Sticky Guns, and our Patreon guest Sincon, and we are out. Peace.